Just talking about you there in
Islam. Just a quick introduction. Basically, you're here today for today's event, Journey to Islam, which has been organised by IDC in conjunction with Northumbria's Islamic Society. I'd like to thank you all for attending today, and basically I hope that you will find today's talk very beneficial. We have 4 guest panelists today. Just to quickly introduce you to them, we have Brother Ibrahim Hewitt, and we also have Brothers Daniel Johnson, Abdullah Reddy, and Henry Gill, who was also a guest speaker yesterday. They're going to present their perspectives on how they found Islam, and they're going to talk a little bit about their experiences of Islam. It's a fantastic way for you to learn a little bit about how this religion of Islam can basically reach so many different people. Shortly I'm going to pass you over to Brother Ibrahim Hewitt, but before that I just wanted to mention some basic house rules. If at any point there's a fire alarm raised, the fire exits are towards the back, and there are ushers at the left and right of the building who will be here to basically help you and guide you out. When you came in, you were all given a welcome pack which contains an itinerary which basically outlines today's planned event, and also in there is an evaluation form. I'm encouraging everyone to basically fill that in before they leave, just to let us know your feedback of the event. Later on at the end of the event, you will also have an opportunity to ask questions to the speakers. That's going to be your chance to basically ask any questions that you may have. Please do participate. It's very much a great opportunity to take part. And basically, without further ado, I'd like to present you to Ibrahim Hewitt. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. I always wonder when I come back to Newcastle, do I put the Geordie accent on? Or do I try and talk proper like what I do down south? It's now 34 years since I lived here. I was born and brought up in Cullercoats, down the coast. And been coming up regularly, still have family there, my brother. My first time in Newcastle since my dad's funeral last year. It's quite poignant to be coming up here for the first time and not having to go and see one of my parents. Newcastle is very close to my heart. I still regard it very much as home. The Newcastle United membership card here. It's not my club card from down the road. And it was quite interesting because when we're coming around where I'm staying tonight, it's being built on the side of a social club where I used to play in a band every Tuesday night. And we came around the corner here, just past the Newcastle University Theatre. I used to play there every Sunday lunchtime, and then of course just around here by the City Hall, and I played there a few times. I used to be in a band, I used to be a musician, and being brought up in the northeast here, even though at that time new Muslims were few and far between. There'd been obviously Muslims in the northeast for over 100 years, even the time that I was growing up. From South Shields, particularly the Muslim community there. I lived in North Shields more or less, and so I went to school. And it could have been, the River Tyne could have been 1,000,000 miles across because we had just no contact with the Muslims of South Shields at all. So I grew up completely ignorant of Islam. I was an agnostic in many ways. I didn't know, and to be honest, I didn't really care. But it was only when I moved with my job to the south of England to work in Newcastle for 12 years. And then I moved with the same company down just outside of London, a place called Watford, from down there. And it was only then that my world was sort of opened up to people of different racial backgrounds and different religious backgrounds. I can put my hand on my heart and say that for the first 21 years of my life, I never ever spoke to somebody who wasn't a white, I don't like this terminology, but we're using a white, supposedly Christian. I I didn't come across anybody. It wasn't part of the scene I was in. And it was so very strange for me when I went down to the smoke, big city, and started, I was living in a hostel. There was people from all over the world, including Muslims. There was a Muslim there from South Africa. And we were part of the same little group. And I had a company car, so I used to drive the group around, which I was very popular. And this Muslim was from South Africa. And I was invited to go spend a holiday with her family in South Africa. And this was in the late 70s. South Africa had a system of government called apartheid. And at that time in South Africa, a gathering like this would be illegal. It would be illegal because the people of different races sitting here together. Shock, horror, probe, some are actually touching each other as they're sitting in the chair. It was that bad. I had to get a special permit to stay in a non-white township. And it was really an eye-opener for me to see that everything was divided by race. Benches in the parks, sometimes the parks themselves, counters at the post offices and the banks, the bridges across the railway station, one bridge for whites, one for non-whites, the trains themselves, there are 10 carriages, 8 of them would be for whites and be practically empty because they've all got cars anyway. 2 would be packed, people hanging on the sides of the roof. That was apartheid South Africa. Even the churches were divided by race. But I was taken to a mosque. I didn't want to go, I wasn't particularly religious. And in that mosque I noticed people of different races standing side by side, praying together. And that registered with me. Why in South Africa, in apartheid, people praying together when outside everybody is separated by race? So when I came back to this country after the holiday, I started to reading books, 2 or 3 books about Islam, including a rather bad translation of the Quran. But what this brought home to me was that if we believe that there is a creator God, but it doesn't make sense for that creator to have sent messengers, prophets with different messages which contradict each other. It doesn't make sense, not logical. And I was very much into logic at that time. So when you look at the chains of the prophets, and I started looking to the text of the Bible at the time as well, but basically the core message was the same from the Old Testament, the New Testament, to the final testament of the Quran. There's only one God. No other gods but me. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one. La ilaha illallah. There is no God except God, capital G. So then we start to look at the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad, and see about this man, the way that the message was given to him, that he was offered everything: power, wealth, influence. If only he would worship the other gods along with Allah. A very famous saying, give me the sun in my right hand, the moon in my left hand. I will not give up and stop this message and delivering the message until Allah makes me successful or I die. And so when I read this, that he wasn't perpetuating this message of calling people to Islam for personal gain, because he could have gained everything. And in fact, he had nothing. When he died, he had nothing. Nothing at all. And he started to do this over a 2-year period. I started to read this. The alcohol prohibition was mentioned. I said, well, I can live with that. And my family here thought I'd gone crazy. The alcohol is the religion of here. It might have changed in the years since I've been away, but I doubt it. And then stopped eating the things that sort of haram, forbidden. I just started to learn. And then one day I just found myself with some Muslims from Sudan. And they called somebody. This was actually FOSIS. Anybody heard of FOSIS? Federation of Students' Islamic Societies. And I went to buy some more books, and he called me in. He told me, sit down, sit down, sit down. And he got on the phone to another brother. I hesitate to say English Muslim, but I'm not quite sure. I think he was Irish. So he would kill me if I said English. He got on the phone, he said, Muhammad John, come quickly, there's an Englishman here, 90% is going to become a Muslim. And all I'd asked for was some books. I hadn't said I wanted to become a Muslim, nothing. And they got talking to me. That's the day I became a Muslim. Just hit me, had to do it. It made sense. I had a choice. I either submit, surrender, become a Muslim, literally, surrender my will to the will of Allah, or I could continue in my old ways, knowing, feeling what was right, but going against what was right. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, that He guided me to make the Shahada and to give us. And then about 2 weeks after that, I met someone who's remained a great friend of the use of Islam, and he said to me, "All right, brother, how are you? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, alhamdulillah, fine." "Are you married?" It was the first thing he said, "Are you married?" I said, "No, no, you must get married. It's very important." I started blaming him. Didn't mean that. Because that's the next bit of great advice. And what happened, I go back to South Africa, to the same family who I stayed with, and proposed for my wife. Alhamdulillah, we've been married now 29 years. South Africa is very much a spiritual home in that sense. This has been very good. It's been very important for me. My family at the time, my father, bless him, threw me out. He didn't want to know. He thought that by becoming a Muslim you become a pseudo-Pakistani, and he was very right-wing in his views right until the day he died. But once he understood, my mother particularly, mothers, wallahi, if you still got your mother, look after her. I mean that. Because you never have. When your mother's not there, you will miss it. You will know for sure. This is the thing she said. She never told me, but she told my wife that I was a much better person by being a Muslim. Less selfish, kinder, generous, caring about others. And when she was told this is the deen, including the offer for my parents to come and live with us, she didn't believe it. She couldn't believe that we would actually be prepared to have them living with us. So she saw a change. And I'll always remember that somebody asked me at the time, "Did your life change when you became a Muslim?" And I just close with this now. Maybe ask some questions later. Did your life change when you became a Muslim? So if your life doesn't change when you become a Muslim, you're not doing it properly. And one of the things whenever I come to universities, and I love coming to universities, it's always the case, and I'm going to get in first tonight in case somebody asks, but always the case of somebody will say, "So you're a new Muslim?" I say, "How old are you, brother?" 21. "No, you're the new Muslim." Alhamdulillah, I've been Muslim longer than you. You're the new Muslim. There's something that each and every person, I would call you, whether you're Muslim or not, is to surrender your will to the will of God. Surrender your will to the will of God. Acknowledge God's presence. And then take it from there. But for Muslims, particularly, you have to embrace Islam. Whether you're born in a Muslim home or not, you have to embrace Islam. It's not just something that people like us do, or have done. You're given a head start over people like us. But when you're old enough to think for yourselves, you still have to embrace Islam. Follow, put it into practice, and be a good example for the society in which we live in. And it's great for me to come back. I don't come back to Newcastle as often as I would like. My wife can't stand the weather here or anything else. Today is a good example of why we wouldn't come back to Newcastle. But you know, it's great to see so many Muslims here. We weren't so many in those days. It was very rare, or unusual, not rare, but unusual. And there's a lady from the northeast, Yvonne Ridley. You know Yvonne? She was working for the Evening Chronicle and the Sunday Sun, the journal, at the time that I became Muslim, about 5-6 years, the late 80s. She wrote an article about me. Geordie Bryan turns to Allah. That was the article. And she became Muslim. I showed her the article. Remember that? Alhamdulillah. People are coming. So we hope But tonight we'll get the opportunity to have a like seamless move from my story to somebody else's story. I'm happy to answer any questions you like. Not a problem, inshallah. The first presentation, I've been given information to give you. It's all there, so you can read it. It's a waste of time reading. But anyway, there's a young man called Daniel Johnson, who I've had the pleasure of meeting before down in Leicester, when he's been down doing Arabic courses with my Quran teacher, Sheikh Kajani, who's from Sunderland, but we forgive him now. He's an Islamic awareness facilitator for Islamic Diversity Centre here in Newcastle. And he's going to speak to us. He's come from a Roman Catholic background. So, Daniel.
Check 1, 2, party people, can you all hear us? Cool. My name's Daniel Johnson, and I am reading from a bit of paper. I'm not into all this internet stuff. I like to go old school. So yeah, my name's Daniel Johnson, and this evening, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to speak to you about my journey to Islam. And it was a lot nicer than my journey here tonight. I came here from the west end of Newcastle. I used my sat nav. It's a bit like a sat nav, but it tells you where all the charters are. You having that one, Ibrahim? Anyway, moving swiftly on. So yeah, the world-renowned English poet William Blake, who lived from 1757 until 1827, said in his Auguries of Innocence, "To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour." Beautiful, just beautiful. There again, the same guy is also quoted as saying, and I do quote, "Energy is an eternal delight, and he who desires but acts not breeds pestilence." So maybe he lost the plot when the British discovered opium in Afghanistan or something, I don't know. Either way, nice quotation. But what I'm getting at is this. The natural world is full of signs. The natural world is full of signs. Signs of God's greatness, signs of God's brilliance, and signs of God's beauty. And the spirit which permeates the Auguries of Innocence, a recognition of God through observation of nature, is a spirit which permeates the Quran itself. In Surah Al-Baqarah, the chapter of the cow, we read what is translated as, and by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, Allah is the Arabic word for God. So I'm going to use the word, probably use the word Allah and God interchangeably tonight, but they mean the same thing, the one God. Okay? So the Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah, what is translated as, indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, and the ships which sail through the sea, with that which benefits people, and what Allah has sent down from the heavens of rain, giving life thereby to the earth after its death. And in his directing of the winds and the clouds, controlled between heaven and the earth, there are signs for a people who use reason. Excuse me if I didn't quote that exactly correctly, but you get the basic gist. That we can see the signs of God in nature. And this is an idea or a concept which has been with me for a long time. Elsewhere in the Quran, in Surah Yunus, the chapter of Jonah, we read what is translated as, indeed, in the ordination of the night and the day, and what Allah has created in the heavens and the earth, there are signs for a people who fear Allah. Okay. And I've always felt a certain awe of God as experienced through the natural world. This awe was formalised into something resembling a nascent monotheism by my early experiences in the Catholic Church. I was christened a Roman Catholic. And I was visiting some kind of museum or stately home with my parents when I was about 3 years old. Or it might have been my nana's house, I don't know. But we were somewhere posh in the world. And I saw a painting which looked a bit like St. Matthew and the Angel by Caravaggio. I don't know if any of you guys are hardcore into art, but he was a famous Italian libertine painter. And the painting showed what was supposed to be an angel taking the soul of a child to heaven. And I had no idea what it was until I asked my mum, and she told me. And but I remember to this day what I felt when she explained to me what it was. I felt more than anything else a sense of having been reminded of something I already knew. Okay? This concept is known in Arabic as al-fitra. That is a concept to be found in the Quran itself, and it basically means that religious truths are ingrained on the very souls of mankind. The Quran says, and I quote, what is translated as, "And when your Lord took from the children of Adam, from their loins, their descendants, and made them testify of themselves, am I not your Lord? They said, yes, we have testified. This, lest you should see on the day of judgment, on the day of resurrection. Indeed, we were unaware of this. So does that make sense? We believe in Islam because the Quran tells us that there was a day when all of mankind, not just 100 or so, all of mankind, every human soul that ever was to be, was gathered before Almighty God, and He made us bear witness that He was our Lord. That is why when the message of Islam, in its uncorrupted form, gets to a people, it rings a bell, it rings a certain bell, and they know deep down it's the truth. And when I found out about Islam, I think that's what happened really. But anyway, I want to play a quick game now. I want to know what are some of the most memorable moments in your life, and I'll just pick on somebody. My friend, if you don't mind, just tell me one of the most memorable moments in your life.
With my sister.
Okay, so a happy moment, yeah, beautiful. Okay, uncle, please, a very memorable moment in your life. Maybe. Okay. Do you mind? When your grandfather passed away, so a sad one. Okay. Somebody towards the back. Brother Ifrish, tell me a memorable moment in your life.
The day my granddad come back from Hajj.
The day your granddad got back from Hajj. MashaAllah, that's beautiful. Okay, well, do you just want to know a memorable moment in my life? Yes, no? Ladies and gentlemen, he's a wonderful audience, just like a jury. So anyway, I was 17 years old on the afternoon of September 11th, 2001, and I hate to say it, it pains me to say this, but September 11th, that horrific, brutal crime against humanity, whoever was behind it, played a pivotal role in my conversion to Islam. I'd already read a little bit about Islam, as I had about other religions, and I think it was really a refusal to accept that one of the world's major religions could sanction something as cruel and absurd as the 9/11 attacks, which prompted me to read more about Islam in order to find out the truth. So I started reading books. That's right, books. When I was a lad, you could still read about a topic on real paper without being constantly bombarded by sponsor a goat schemes or shower coal toothpicks. That's the internet, Ibrahim, computers, you know? Okay. I love talking to the old ones, you know? God bless him. So yeah, I bought a translation of the Quran from the now defunct Hills Bookshop in Sunderland, and the beautiful Arabic script on the front of this particular Penguin classic captured my imagination and filled me with a sense of Eastern wonder and mystery, a feeling which I'd missed since they had axed the Turkish Delight advert from our TV screens, which I'm sure Brother Ibrahim remembers as well. And I was relieved to find that what was in my hands was not an Arabic version of Mein Kampf or some other fascist hate manual, but rather a book of profound beauty and wisdom. The first chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha, is translated as follows: In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, you alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who have earned your anger, nor of those who have gone astray. I suppose it's difficult for many people in Britain to not see Islam as an Asian religion. Most of the Muslims in this country do, of course, have their backgrounds in what was once, not so many years ago, British India. And as a white person growing up in a predominantly white area, I was probably no exception. I probably saw Islam as something that brown men in little white hats done on a Friday. And I didn't hate people because they had a different race or colour to me. I just saw them really as aliens. And my less than enlightened views on race and other cultures were encapsulated really in my music. I, like Ibrahim, was a musician, with the exception that I was really rubbish and he was probably pretty good. But I was the founding member of a punk rock combo called The Coming. You've all heard of it, yeah? Okay, anyway. And we had a song which we played live on several occasions called Give, Dope and Eat to the Iraqis. And that was really our message for world peace and our plan for world domination simultaneously. Give, dope and eat to the Iraqis. And the chorus, the first verse of the chorus went as follows. I'll just speak it, I'll not sing it. If I could be king, just for one day, I'd go to Iraq in a plane, and I'd free the weed, and I'd drop down ease, millions and millions, to Saddam Hussein, because Saddam Hussein was still in power then, you know. And the chorus, and feel free to sing along, give, dope and eat to the Iraqis, give, dope and eat to the Iraqis, give, dope and eat to the Iraqis, and to the Indians and Pakis. So you have to forgive me for that one. But anyway, I'm moving swiftly on. I was about as far away from Cat Stevens as one could possibly be. In contrast, however, the Holy Quran says in a particularly beautiful verse in Surah Al-Hujurat what is translated as, O mankind, indeed, We, this is the royal we. Of course, as Muslims, we believe there is only one God, but in the Quran he refers to himself as a nahnu, as a sign of grandeur and magnificence. So the Quran says what is translated as, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes, that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. So I think that's particularly beautiful. The more I read my English translation of the Holy Quran, and the more I learned about the biography of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the more convinced I became that Islam was the truth. In the confusion and head-scratching that followed 9/11, I and many other people in the West discovered a religion of pristine beauty and wisdom. It seems hard to imagine now, but during my formative years in England, terrorism was not seen as an Islamic or even a Muslim issue. The ever-present threat was perceived to be, of course, the IRA. So I knew from experience that the adherents of any religion could twist scripture really shamelessly and could be guilty of real extreme hypocrisy in order to justify doing something evil. So I think from my childhood I knew that that was the case. However, the more I read and studied, the more I became certain that people who do use Islam, particularly the Quran, to justify terrible acts of violence, they're totally ignorant, and I quickly came to realise that. The Quran, the verses of the Quran, pertaining to war and struggle are balanced and sensible. A policy of pragmatic justice is favoured over one of unrealistic, pie-in-the-sky pacifism and sanctimonious indifference. Okay, time for another game, so I was getting a bit heavy there. Don't worry, it's not Twister. Okay, brother. Matthew, if you don't mind, I'm going to say a word, and I want you... Actually, no. Do you mind doing this? Do you not want to? Okay, brother. Ibrahim. I'm going to say a word, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes in your head, please. In a nice way. Church. Bible. Crucifix. Baptism. Okay, you get the idea. Easter. Chocolate eggs, probably. Okay, and bunnies. Lovely stuff. Now, the point I'm getting at is this. Why am I banging on about Christianity? I don't want anyone to think that I became a Muslim because I didn't like being a Christian. This is certainly not the case. I was quite happy as a Christian. I was pretty much an enthusiastic church-going Christian. And I found much solace and guidance in the Bible, especially the New Testament. For example, according to Matthew chapter 22, verses 34 to 40, a man asked Jesus a question. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. The second likewise is this, you shall love your neighbour as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments. Elsewhere, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, we read, Blessed are the peacemakers, a timely reminder for all of mankind. There was, however, one area, a grey area if you like, of Christian theology with which I was never comfortable. It is, of course, that old chestnut, the Trinity. Since the formalisation of the Christian Creed at the Treaty of Nicaea in 325 CE, the belief that God is one in three persons has been at the heart of the Christian faith, mainstream Christianity anyway. Christian theologians have exerted much time and effort trying to explain to an increasingly sceptical public how three apparently separate beings can be one. And try as they might, the idea of three separate beings being one is very difficult for most people to accept. And the Bible rather, clearly refers to Jesus praying to God. So, if Jesus is God, one might ask, would God pray to God? Anyway, that's an issue in and of itself. But what does the Quran have to say about this particular metaphysical square peg? The Quran, in the 112th chapter, Surah Al-Ikhlas, says what is translated as, Say, He is Allah, the one and only, Allah, the one upon whom everything relies, while He relies on no one. He does not give birth, and He was not born, and there is nothing at all like Him. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that bombshell, I'm going to end my talk. I hope it was, at least all right. I'm going to sit down again now and talk.